A nation awakens. The uprising in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, a nation born from the fires of revolution, finds itself at a crossroads once again. The recent uprising, marked by widespread protests and a groundswell of discontent, has shaken the very foundations of its political landscape. The people of Bangladesh, known for their resilience and spirit, have risen up to demand change, their voices echoing through the streets. This is a story of hope and trepidation, a testament to the enduring human desire for freedom and justice. It is a story that demands our attention, for the fate of Bangladesh hangs in the balance. The catalyst for this uprising was the increasingly authoritarian rule of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina and her Awami League. What began as a period of relative stability and economic growth slowly morphed into a system marked by repression and the curtailing of civil liberties. The government's heavy-handed tactics, aimed at silencing dissent and consolidating power, only served to fuel the flames of discontent. The situation reached a boiling point when student protests, sparked by controversial job quotas, were met with brutal force. This ignited a firestorm of anger and frustration, uniting people from all walks of life in a common cause to reclaim their democracy. The world watched in awe as ordinary citizens, led by students and activists, faced down a formidable security apparatus. The images of defiance, captured on phones and shared across social media, painted a vivid picture of a nation yearning for change. The uprising in Bangladesh is a stark reminder that power ultimately resides in the hands of the people. The rise and fall of a leader, from hope to oppression. Sheikh Hasina, a figure once synonymous with Bangladesh's struggle for independence, ascended to power on a wave of hope and expectation. She inherited a nation grappling with poverty, political instability, and the scars of a tumultuous past. In the early years of her rule, she garnered praise for her efforts to stabilize the economy, empower women, and address climate change. Bangladesh, under her leadership, seemed poised to become a model of development and progress for other developing countries. However, as time went on, a darker side of Hasina's rule began to emerge. Her government became increasingly intolerant of dissent, cracking down on opposition parties, journalists, and activists who dared to criticize her policies. The space for free speech and independent media shrank dramatically as laws were enacted to stifle any form of dissent. The judiciary, once a bastion of independence, was gradually brought under the control of the ruling party, eroding public trust in the rule of law. The spark student protests ignite a movement. The student protests that ignited the uprising in Bangladesh were not an isolated incident, but rather the culmination of years of simmering discontent. The immediate trigger was the government's decision to implement a controversial quota system for government jobs, a move seen by many as favoring the ruling party's loyalists and further marginalizing already disadvantaged communities. However, the protests quickly morphed into a broader expression of frustration with the government's authoritarian tendencies, corruption, and economic mismanagement. The students, armed with nothing but their voices and smartphones, took to the streets in a remarkable display of courage and determination. They organized marches, rallies, and sit-ins, using social media to bypass the government's control over traditional media outlets. Their message resonated with millions of Bangladeshis who had grown weary of the government's heavy-handed tactics and were yearning for change. The world must send a clear message to the interim government that any attempt to cling to power through force or intimidation will not be tolerated. Support for democratic institutions, civil society organizations, and independent media is crucial for ensuring a peaceful and sustainable transition to a more just and equitable society. The future of Bangladesh hangs in the balance, and the world is watching. The road ahead will be long and arduous, but the people of Bangladesh have shown that they are ready for the challenge. The international community has a responsibility to stand with the people of Bangladesh during this critical juncture. Support for democratic institutions, civil society organizations, and independent media is crucial for ensuring a peaceful and sustainable transition to a more just and equitable society. The future of Bangladesh hangs in the balance, and the world is watching. If you found this video insightful, please subscribe to our channel and share it with your friends to spread awareness.